Today we are going to explain Unit 8 lessons 4 and 6, and as you know, they are grammar lessons. We are going to explain the inversion, and we will revise the relative pronouns and the contrastive connectors. Please be prepared. Open your notebooks, pages 12 and 13, and your workbooks, pages 56 and 57. Let's start. Look at this example, please. I shall never stay up late again. I want to start this sentence with never, so I'm going to invert the sentence. Am I going to have some changes? Of course I will. Notice these changes, please. Never shall I stay up late again. So we have some changes here. I shall never stay up late, and here never shall I. What happens here is that I start the sentence with the adverb and I follow the adverb with a helping verb, and then I use the subject and then I use the main verb. Adverbs can be like never, little, seldom, rarely, and only now. Helping verbs are of two types. A type that is already in the sentence, like is, are, was, were, can, could, will, would, have, has, and so on. And if they are not in the sentence, so we should use do, does, or did. And then I use the subject of the sentence. It can be a noun or a pronoun, and then I use the main verb of the sentence. I have another example for you. I have rarely checked my account these days. So, according to the rule, how am I going to start with rarely, or how am I going to invert the sentence? So, we have to start with rarely, the adverb, have, which is the helping verb, and then I, which is the subject, and then checked, which is the main verb, and then we complete the sentence. Another example of the inversion, but this time it's with not only. And you know that not only follows the same procedure, but after the first sentence, because we are going to join two sentences together using not only, so we have to use but also. Look at this example. She is beautiful. She is also smart. I want to start the sentence with not only. I will join these two sentences using not only. Of course, I will use, excuse me. Of course, I will use but also in the middle, but when I start with not only, we will have some changes. So, look carefully. Not only is she beautiful. So what happens here is that we changed the structure of the sentence. Not only is followed by a helping verb, and then we have the subject and then the completion of the sentence, the first sentence, and then we have but also before the second sentence. Another type of inversion, which is with no sooner, hardly, and scarcely. What is the difference between no sooner, hardly, and scarcely and the previous adverbs? The difference is they should be followed by had. The helping verb that we use here is only had. And then I use the subject, and then I use the verb in the past participle. No sooner should be followed by than, hardly when, and scarcely when. Look at this example. As soon as the guests had arrived, the lights went out. I want to start this sentence with no sooner. So no sooner is a substitution of as soon as, and here we have to invert the sentence. How am I going to do that? Look carefully. No sooner, and then we said no sooner should be followed by had, and then the subject, which is the guests, and then arrived, the past participle of the verb, and then in the middle, between the two sentences, we use then, and then we write the second sentence. So no sooner had the guests arrived than the lights went out. Another type of inversion using so. But so is actually used with adjectives. It's a little bit different. Look at the difference here. So should be followed by the adjective, and then we have verb to be, and then I have the subject, and then I have that, and then I have the second sentence. I have an example here. Fatma is smart. Her teachers like her. I want to join first. I want to join these two sentences and start with so. How am I going to do that? We have Fatma is smart. Subject, verb to be, adjective. So when I start with so, yes, very good. So smart is Fatma. And then we use that, and I write the second sentence with no changes at all. So smart is Fatma that her teachers like her. Let's practice the rule, please. Open your notebooks, page 12. Complete the following sentences. Actually, in the exam, you will be asked to start with never or rarely or hardly or no sooner, or he will say invert the sentence, so they are all the same. Number 1, I shall never forget your kindness. If you revise the rule, we said that never should be followed by a helping verb, and then we have the subject, and then we have the verb. So, I shall never forget your kindness. So, the answer is going to be, very good girls, never shall I forget your kindness. Number 2, she rarely does her homework alone. Now, I need to start with rarely. And as I told you that rarely should be followed by a helping verb. Do I have a helping verb here? No, actually, I'm going to get a helping verb. We have here does, which is a verb with S. So I need to use the helping verb does also. So rarely does she do. So does she do her homework alone? 3. We had hardly started when it began to rain. Start with hardly. So, following the rule, hardly, we said hardly should be followed by had. Very good, girls. So, hardly had we started when it began to rain. Number 4, as soon as we had left the house, it exploded. Notice here that he wants you to use no sooner, and we said that as soon as changes into no sooner, and in the middle here we should use that. Very good, girls. So no sooner had we left the house than it exploded. No sooner had we left the house than it exploded. Number 5, I have seldom heard such beautiful singing. I need to start with seldom, and it will be seldom have I heard such a beautiful singing. Number 6, I had scarcely left when I ran right into him. Start with scarcely. So, following the rule, scarcely had I left when I ran into him. So, this is in your notebooks, page 12. But actually, in the same page, I have got a homework for you, and I'm going to check the homework next time with you, inshallah. It is in page 12 as well. Let's continue. Last year you studied something called relative pronouns, and as you know that we have who, whom, and whose. They are used for people, and I have which. It's used for objects, animals, plants, and places. We have also where, which is used for places, and I have when, which is used for time. I will give you some examples to show you the difference. That is the girl lives next door. That is the girl you told me about, and that is the girl car was stolen. I need to complete using who, whom, or whose. How am I going to do this? Let's try together. In the first one, if you look here, we have here a verb. After the space, we have a verb. So, which one should be followed by a verb? Very good. It's who. So, in the second sentence, we have, after the space, you told me about. I have a subject and a verb. So, I use whom. And here I have car, which is a noun. So, we have to use whose. So, again, who should be followed by a verb. Whom should be followed by a subject and a verb, and whose should be followed by a noun. How can I differentiate between which, where, and when? I found the keys I lost yesterday. 2013 is the year I graduated. So, in the first one here, we are talking about keys, which is an object. So, we use which. And here it's a time, so I use when. So which is used for objects and when is used for time. But we said that we use which and where also for places. So how can I differentiate between them? Look at these two examples. I went to the school, my father bought. I went to the school, my father was taught. So in the first example, we are going to use which. Very good. And in the second one, we are going to use where. But why? Because which is for places in general, and where for places in which the action happens. Let's practice this rule. Please open your workbooks. Page 56, exercise 3. Here we have some sentences with mistakes. We need to replace the word in bold with an appropriate word related to it, then see if the relative pronoun within the sentence is correct. We need to rewrite the whole sentence. So, the first one, the city who is very polluted is home to over 250,000 people. So, we are talking about the city. Can I use who for the city? Of course not. And the right answer is the city which is very polluted. Here we can't say pollute, it's polluted. It's an adjective. B. The park which I play football is famed throughout the country. So can I use which here with the park? Okay, and notice here I say which I play. So here the action happens in the park. So the right answer is very good. The park where I play football is famous. C. The actor where I went to school with obviously gained great joy from his profession. So actor, which is a person, we can't use for it where, but we use actually who. So the actor who I went to school with obviously gained great enjoyment, very good, from his profession. D. I'll always memory the day who I started school. So here I can't use memory because I need a verb. So I will say memorize or remember the day. طبعا, of course, it's going to be when. So I always remember the day when I started school. Okay? Please open your notebooks to practice this rule. Page 30. Number 1. This is the hotel. We usually stay when we have a holiday. So, of course, you know the answer. The answer is where? 2. Edison is the scientist. Invented. Here we have a verb. So, of course, the answer is who? A widow is a woman. Husband is dead. So, husband here is a noun. So, we have to use whose. Very good, girls. Number 4, the people we visited were very nice. So, we have here we visited, subject and a verb, and of course we are going to use whom. And I have homework for you, page 13. Please do it. We are going to check it next time, inshallah. Now, quick revision to the contrastive connectors. If you remember, we studied the contrastive connectors in the first term. We have whereas, which can be used in the middle or at the beginning of two sentences joined together. But remember that whereas should be followed by a sentence, and before whereas we have to use a comma if we use it in the middle. We have also however. Before however comes in the middle, as you know, and before however we use a comma or a full stop, and after however we use commas. Here, don't forget that after and before, however, whereas, or also but, we have to use full sentence. On the other hand, is also one of the contrastive connectors. It comes in the middle between two contrastive sentences. After, on the other hand, we have to use a comma, and as I told you before, it should be followed by a full sentence. We have instead of and in comparison with. In comparison with and instead of are totally different in the structure here, because after instead of or in comparison with, we use a noun or a verb plus ing. Don't forget this. Let's practice. Open your workbooks, please. Page 57. Exercise number 5. Complete these sentences with one of these comparing or contrasting words or phrases. Use each word or phrase once. In the box here we have instead of, in comparison with, whereas, and however. A. Look at the sentence carefully, please. Yes. So, the right answer is very good. In comparison with. Seoul in South Korea. Warsaw, the capital of Poland, is quite a small city. And whereas Seoul has a population of over 10 million people, Warsaw has only 2 million. B. Look carefully at the sentence and tell me which choice can we use here. Great! I have decided to learn Chinese instead of French at university. Very good. And the last sentence? Great! Chinese grammar is not too difficult. However, excuse me. However, the pronunciation will be very hard for me. Let's have more practice in your notebooks. Page 13, please. Number 1. Choose the right answer. Number 1. Her low grades, she was admitted to the university. So, The right answer is despite. Very good. Number 2. He wasn't tired. He went to bed. So the right choice is going to be excellent. However, 3. Florida has a warm climate. Alaska has a cold climate. So, whereas, bravo. Number 4, she stayed in Kuwait. Space, traveling. Traveling. Good girls, instead of. Number 5. This film isn't enjoyable. Other films performed by the same actor. So, of course, the answer is in comparison with. And too many thanks, my dear students, and see you next lesson. Goodbye.